but the
Okay.
global Samud flotilla,
Samud.
Samud flotilla, was attacked last night by warships. This is according to Navarra Media. They're pretty reputable. Drones and speedboats full of heavily
It says
armed.
that's not it. Is that not it, Colin? Hold on a second. We should just, yeah, let's read this and then, okay.
Grab the, and there's a story we could grab. Greece is not pro-Zio, but their government certainly is. Drones and speedboats full of heavily armed Israeli commandos, despite sailing just off the coast of Greece, more than 500 nautical miles from Gaza. 500 nautical miles, and they're getting access to Greece's water. This is Greece's territory. This isn't like technically this is Israel's territory. No, this is in Greece that they did this. And is Greece going to say anything about it? Of 57 boats at sea, 22 are believed to have been intercepted in the attack, which began at around 11 p.m. local time. 35 others escaped interception, with many sailing into Greek territorial waters. Around 170 participants are believed to have been detained and are likely being taken to Israel, several days' sail away. Others were left stranded at sea. In a statement, GSF described their situation as a calculated death trap. After smashing engines and destroying navigation arrays, the military retreated, intentionally leaving hundreds of civilians stranded on powerless, broken vessels directly in the path of a massive approaching storm. Organizers initially assumed that all intercepted participants had been detained. Many activists posted pre-recorded videos to their Instagram accounts saying they had been taken hostage. But with systems down and phones thrown overboard, shock, it is possible some are actually adrift and are unable to communicate. So they're kind of hoping that they just disappear. Get it? In October, the IDF pirated flotilla boats and sailed them back to Ashdod. But Israeli commandos reportedly found this challenging because they got seasick and didn't know how to sail. There's a lot of things they don't know how to do when they have to fend for themselves. The journey then was only hours long. This time, it could last several days. While Israel has illegally intercepted dozens of past flotillas in international waters, the distance from Gaza and proximity to Europe this time is unprecedented, with many asking how European governments could allow it to happen. UN Special Rapporteur Francesca Albanese said on Instagram that the attack should send shockwaves across Europe. Alarm. How on earth is it possible that Israel is allowed to assault and seize vessels in international waters just off Greece?
But they did the last times, not off Greece, but it was international waters. And then I think at one point it was like, what was it? Crete, Capri? What was it?
Capri, I believe.
It was, but it had nothing to do with Ziohel, and it was certainly not in their water. Anything that's not in their water is a violation of international law, but it doesn't matter because we no longer have laws.
Law doesn't matter.
No, it used to matter. We have there's a story I want to talk about. I think I told you about it for tonight that I'm gonna law and order does not exist anymore.
Just so we're clear, we know this. We don't trust anybody that's a part of the machine.
We'll get into Ossoff. We'll get into that.
He's actually the dark horse to be the Dem nominee, by the way.
We'll address this. We have a video about that. Yeah.
Yes.
And also, again, that was whose office I went to when we were with Doctors Against Genocide, because I was with the Georgia group. And so we did meet with Ossoff's person. So I have some thoughts.
Couldn't find the time to meet with you, though.
No. And just, this is an instance where I actually am now officially a constituent.
That's true.
I don't think I've had a Democrat senator in 30 years. I mean, maybe since I was a kid. I don't think I've had one.
So. Colin, pull up the AP story that I just sent you, please. That'll be good.
Yeah, that was the one I sent. I think that's what I sent him. So why do we have to follow laws? We don't, Josie. It's a facade. We don't.
Jen, would you like to?
Sure. So this is AP, guys, and Israeli forces intercept Gaza aid flotilla and plans to drop off activists in Greece. Well, that's at least a better plan than bringing them back to Ziohel and torturing them. So Israeli forces near the southern Greek island of Crete intercepted more than 20 boats from a flotilla of several dozen, seeking to break Israel's naval blockade of Gaza and plan to transport about 175 detained activists to Greece on Thursday, Ziohel said. Activists aboard the global Samud flotilla said the genocidal entity stormed their vessels overnight, smashing engines and detaining some of those on board while they were sailing in international waters near Greece, hundreds of miles from Gaza and Ziohel. The genocidal entity said they needed to take early action against the flotilla before it reached Ziohel because of the high number of boats involved. Oh my God, the amount of aid involved. None of these boats are armed, mind you. So there are a lot of boats. So there's a lot of food and medical equipment. So I could see how that would be horrifying.
Oh, remember when little Zio princess Lizzie Savetsky tried to claim it was like a drug boat or some shit?
Right, and now they're trying to smear one of the leaders of the flotilla with all these sexual harassment claims that apparently have no complainants.
Spare me.
Yeah. Yeah, they need to take care of it. The flotilla set sail earlier this month from Barcelona. Organizers have said more than 70 boats and 1,000 people from around the world would be participating, with more vessels joining the original boats as the flotilla sailed east across the Mediterranean. Flotilla organizers condemned Ziohel's interception as a dangerous and unprecedented escalation, describing it in news release as the abduction of civilians in the middle of the Mediterranean. Yeah. I would describe it exactly the same. Over 600 miles from Gaza in full view of the world. Yeah, sounds right. In a separate statement late Thursday, organizers said 31 of the 53 vessels had reached safe waters and would continue their attempts to break the illegal siege. All right, so you still have 31 boats. And again, I have no delusion that this is necessarily, but it sure as hell does cause them to be having to have resources in another location dealing with unarmed people as opposed to where the armed people are. So, it's a distraction. Israel, you want to read?
Israel's foreign ministry originally said in a post on X that it was taking about 175 activists from more than 20 boats participating in the flotilla to Israel. Israel. Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar later wrote on X that the activists would be transferred to Greece in coordination with Greek authorities. The Greek Foreign Ministry issued a statement saying it had asked Israel to withdraw its ships from the area and has offered its good services for the activists to disembark in Greece and be repatriated. Did you write them a sternly worded letter? Is that what you did? Just like the Democratic establishment? Did you write them a sternly worded letter and said, please don't invade our waters? Please don't.
And then give them a little wink, maybe little winky wink, and say, just don't say that we let you.
Don't shave too much off the top. Oh. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu congratulated the Israeli Navy in a statement saying the mission to keep the flotilla away has been a success. I'm telling you, he gets off on this. He jerks off doing this. They love going after people who can't defend themselves.
That's all they can do.
That's all they can.
That's the only place in which they appear to themselves to be triumphant. Like, that's the only place they succeed. They don't do well against any groups that are actually armed. They lose at those.
They will continue to watch Gaza on YouTube. Really?
Yeah, whatever.
I mean, listen, at least he embraces the animal that he is. Protests in solidarity with the flotilla were called across several capitals. In Rome, crowds gathered outside the Colosseum holding Palestinian flags. In Athens, supporters chanted in support of the flotilla outside of the Greek Foreign Ministry. Turkey's foreign ministry condemned the seizure as an act of piracy, Spain
Yeah,
summoned these.
Turkey. Yeah. You're foot in both sides. Foot in both sides. Do not.
They don't really have a choice. Turkey's the one country that really doesn't have a choice.
I
Spain summoned the Israeli charge d'affaires in Madrid to convey its strongest condemnation of the detention of the flotilla, which includes Spanish citizens. The ministry said in a statement, Italy and Germany said they were following developments with great concern. In a post on Telegram, Hamas also condemned the interception, accusing Israel of committing a crime without accountability and calling the release of those detained. Israel and Egypt have imposed varying degrees of a blockade on Gaza since Hamas seized power from rival Palestinian forces in 2007. Israel says the blockade is needed to prevent Hamas from importing arms. Let me know when you intercept one of those flotillas carrying arms. Let us know. Or maybe you'll plant them there.
And well, right. And that's what they would do. Right. That's what they would do, would be plant them. But it's silly. Nobody believes them. Nobody believes them. And yeah, regarding the thing about Greece, it's no different than our country or these other countries. The Greek people are not the problem. No. The Greek people are stuck like we're stuck. You know, I mean, the oligarchy and the capitalist empire is global. And anything that's under that sort of umbrella, which does include Greece, their people are screwed like we're screwed. They don't have a say-so either. So this has nothing to do with the Greek people. We love the Greeks. The truth is, other than the genocidal entity, I like people from all places. Yeah. I haven't met anybody from any place in particular that I would say would cast a bad image of anybody from that place ever, other than Ziohel.
Yeah, I was going to say.
So I don't have a problem with people. Okay, maybe French Canadians that don't tip in South Florida, but not in the same way.
I also want to be very clear about something. I know a lot of people get frustrated and they ask themselves, well, what is it that we could do to really make change? There's really only two things that you can do. The first one is get your asses to Washington, D.C. and make your presence known. You know, Medea
Why?
Benjamin.
Why?
Let me explain. Oh. Medea Benjamin and Code Pink are a band of maybe a half a dozen people, but they make life such living hell for the people on the Hill. Now, they don't really feel threatened by them because how could you? It's only 6 people. But what if they had to deal with 600 people walking the halls of Congress every day, making their lives a living hell, making sure that they cannot breathe? You have often said that none of them deserve a moment's peace. And you're right.
No, but that's when, okay, but here's the difference between what I say about that and what you're saying now. If we were to do that, right, all that will happen is they'll close down their buildings to outsiders.
Let them.
Okay.
Let them do
right.
Again.
Whereas what I'm talking about is not giving them a moment peace when they're out in public in their personal lives, because that's what makes them miserable. If we're bugging them at work, they'll shut down our ability to get to them at work. So I don't think that's going to hassle them as much as in their personal lives. And again, in public places. I do not support going into people's private residences, private property. That is not what I'm suggesting.
No. What I am saying is that you have a couple of things to consider. I said it does nothing if you're not strategic. If you go there without an actual plan and an actual base of operation in terms of how to grow it out and make it sustainable, you are wasting your time.
Mehdi, we are so far past what's legal now. All that would have to happen would be some sort of executive order or declaration of an emergency, and it would be over. And then we would have no say-so, and we would be screwed in every other facet like we are right now. I'm just saying. We would probably have the same amount of recourse that we have for all these other grievances that we have. So, yeah.
There is no question that if there is one aspect from a financial standpoint that does make the difference, it's BDS. That is the one thing that, again, if you're talking about how do you actually fight back against this, you have to hit them in their wallet. There is no other way. It's the only thing they respond to because it's the only thing that matters.
Direct action is working. Direct action is working.
Direct action.
And let's not be fooled.
people, I know people in my line of work that hate Israelis, but they do business with them because that's the nature of the game. And that is the nature of being in control of the banking system. This is one of the dirtiest, unfortunate secrets about the global financial order, is that the Israelis have a very big stranglehold led by the Rothschilds when it comes to how money is recognized and utilized around the world. And as long as people like them are truly running the entire show, this is exactly what you can continue to expect. Now, with that being said, there are changes that are happening. BRICS is definitely for real, and they are not a part of this Western Zionist system. That is what's changing. And you can't just change it overnight. That's the thing.
Yeah, I wasn't, when I talk about direct action, I'm talking in addition to BDS. Like when you look at, and as far as I know now, we're up to over 70 something warehouse fires that have been going on since the original Kimberly-Clark fire. That's direct action.
And you just know that there is no way that's ever going to get any type of national coverage.
No, and that's fine. I know it's happening. And the other thing that's happening is I don't think it's happened in this country that I'm aware of yet, but I know that in the UK, activists broke into an Elbit, which is, Ziohel is one of their biggest defense contracting manufacturers in UK. They've broken into and damaged equipment multiple times in locations. So direct action costs them time and money. And I know that the Epstein class would like to say that direct action is violence. I don't find that violent. I find denying people health care and a living wage violent. I find setting buildings on fire full of stuff a very potent message. So, violence, is when you're purposefully hurting people. When you're punching up, I call it self-defense.